I'm Brendan Sayre.
I'm Andrew Blakeman, and our topic is school safety. We're ready for questions.
Do you feel safe at school?
Personally, yes. At LCA, I feel safe
So why are you making that distinction?
because I feel like other schools don't feel safe, as there was a shooting yesterday. So obviously, not all schools, not all people feel safe. And then I feel like at a Christian environment, I feel safe in the LCA.
So you feel safe because of the people you are around and the people you're still with?
I feel like since it's a smaller school, we only have like 115 people. I feel like everybody knows each other, so I mean, I don't think there would be such things as bullying or school shootings. I feel like, well, we see bullying, but not as severe, I don't think, and I feel like people would step up for each other.
Sandy Hook was a small school too, and thought that they had some real secure boundaries, and something happened there. So I'm just curious, what do we do well at LCA that makes you feel secure?
I just feel like all people at LCA feel close. I'm not sure how people at Sandy Hook feel about each other, but I know that at LCA that everybody's like close friends. Like I have a conversation with a lot of people every day. I just feel safe around them.
I know LCA has like a lot of Christian influences throughout it. I think that helps a lot because it's a good example for everybody and kind of helps them to not hate each other and not like promote a lot of violence.
Do you feel safe here, Andrew?
Yes, ma'am. Like, I was gonna say, like, bullying, like, I remember it in my elementary years and stuff, but not bad, not like severe, like public schools. But as I've gotten older, I think we've all, like, grown together. Everybody kind of accepts each other for who they are. I feel like we've done a great job of that. So, and chapel every week and having God in the conversation always. God's always on the topic, so I think that's helpful too. So.
Does bullying have an impact on school safety?
Yes.
For sure. Like
How?
I'd say most school shootings are influenced by either someone being bullying and obviously mental issues also. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna take an example of like the Columbine shooting that happened a while ago. So the two kids that were starting the shooting were being bullied at school because they had a club called the Trenchcoat Mafia where they wore trench coats to school every day, and people made fun of them like every day of their lives that they were at school, and that's what kind of caused that to happen. So bullying can have an impact on someone's mental health more than anything, whether it be any type of bullying like physical, verbal, or cyberbullying.
At what age did you first experience, each of you, bullying, or what do you recall? Someone being bullied?
very mildly, probably like as early as second, third grade.
Yeah.
Mainly
And it was-
verbal.
Yeah, mainly verbal at LCA.
Nothing too bad though.
I would say I've never seen like physical bullying, but like verbal, second.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
probably seen-
okay, I got a question. So when the seniors play Capture the Freshman, you don't think that's bullying? Okay, just
Well, it's like they volunteer to play that.
Yeah.
They volunteer.
I think most of the kids who are getting captured, they like the attention probably.
Okay.
It's not
All
seniors.
right.
It's a good point. The hazing, which we don't allow, but that can be perceived as bullying. Am I thinking that through right? So what if you do have a freshman student who feels pressure to participate but really doesn't? How do you handle that?
I've never captured a freshman.
Well, you're just now a senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Well, when I was a freshman, I never like saw seniors like look down on me because of that. But I know that at schools such as LCA or other schools that happens. But I'm not sure like how to prevent that.
Yeah. I've also noticed like our grade is very different from like my brother's grade. Like my brother's grade was really dominant. And, like they would be someone who would capture the freshmen. And like I haven't seen that. At least I'm not on a sports team anymore, so I don't see it as much, I guess. But because that's probably where you see it, but it's not as prevalent as in Jacob's grade 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, I think every class is different, like how they see things.
Brandon, what responsibility do you have as a senior to kind of help squash bullying or a hostile environment here at school?
I think you just have to like encourage others not to, and like if you see someone bullying someone, you need to try to help that person and get others to help you, to try to get them to not bully others.
Yeah, being the older one, everybody will look up to you since you're the senior. So you have to set that example and like set that bar where like a good example is on how you should act, why you shouldn't bully and stuff.
A bigger issue now than physical bullying is the cyberbullying. So what may have been an issue that impacted 10, 15 kids that may have witnessed it by eyesight, now it can easily be 200, 300 people participating or at least witnessing, but they're witnessing through their screen. So how often does that lead to these type of events? You mentioned the trench coat mafia, but if you look at different violence, school violence through the years, how much of it has been through cyberbullying?
Well, a lot of cyberbullying that can happen. For example, there have been a lot of reports of suicide after cyberbullying because people just, someone will post something bad about someone.
Usually cyberbullying is like through social media, and I say like it is very hard to stop other people from seeing that because they post it where like over 1,000 people can see it every day, and it's very hard to stop that. And I think social media is very toxic in a way like that. It doesn't benefit people. It only brings people down. It makes people like judge themselves, and I do think that leads to bullying going on further at LCA, or not LCA, at schools.
Do you think, hold up. Okay. Do you think with recent companies like Instagram removing the likes, will that help cyberbullying, and will that, do you think will make a difference?
I think that's a benefit. I know a lot of people like, they look at their likes, they're like, oh, I'm making it, I have 400 likes or something. And then they look down on other people like, oh, you only have a certain amount of likes. I do think that's a benefit.
It will definitely make a small impact that will like help in the future, in my opinion, because people always look at those likes and think that's how popular they are, and that they'll just judge themselves if they don't get enough. So I think it will make a smaller impact, but
I think it'll help. Also, people tend to look at followers and judge themselves by that. And when you take away likes, then the main focus would be followers. So if you're gonna take away likes, I mean, you can't really take away how many followers someone has. That would change the platform like completely. But like now the focus is gonna be on just followers. And a lot of times, a lot of those followers are like random people or ghosts. So like most of the time it's just you look at the likes to see however popular or there's someone's social status or whatever. But now that's taken away. So now I think the focus will just be shifted even more on how many followers you have, that number.
I also think it will have like a small impact, but I think it would take more time for it to actually be impacted. Because where they have to integrate it in across, like, I just saw they started to do it across the world instead of just the US.
Grayson, you mentioned Columbine, which is probably the first school shooting to gain national attention. And sadly, school shootings have become a semi-regular occurrence since then. With instant media and instant news now, and then also our traditional media, television and radio, newsprint, how do you think the media plays a role? Does it help combat by us having the knowledge that the school shootings are out there and allow schools to better prepare for school shootings? Or do you think it helps sensationalize school shootings where there's other people who maybe have been bullied or have a mental disorder where they feel like, hey, this is my chance to get my 15 minutes of fame and go and do this at my school? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it definitely has an impact on both. For the media to spread that out, and people are starting to see that this is a real thing and a real occurrence. Our schools can be better prepared for stuff like this. Like LCA, the past few years have definitely upped their like lockdown drill procedures. So I've definitely seen that taken account for. People started putting metal detectors in schools and better preparing for this. For the other part of that, the other argument with people getting the idea of starting school shooting, that's definitely happening. because it's definitely, school shootings are happening more often ever since the Columbine shooting. So they definitely got that idea from the media.
Another rule that we put in was the 10-10 rule, where you have to be if you in your class during that time, you can only leave you can't leave for the first 10 minutes, you can't leave for the last 10 minutes, and we keep our doors locked the whole day. And I like that rule. It makes me feel safe. And then I think it's because media has displayed that it could happen anywhere. And like a lot of times, schools don't know that it's going to come their way. And like I think that's a smart decision on our staff to do that.
Metal detectors, you mentioned that. Many of the high schools in Fayette County are going to that at a cost of $300,000, almost $500,000 just to get that system installed. And yet students are saying that they don't feel safe. What are your thoughts on that? Do we need to think, the pros and cons of metal detectors? Do they work?
Well, only 1 in 10 high schools utilize metal detectors, so it's not like a bunch of high schools use it. But in New York City, a bunch of schools have it, and over half of the weapons that were found were due to metal detectors. So I do think it's a way to make other students feel safe, but at the same time, like if you go into your school and you see metal detectors, I wouldn't really feel safe because you're obviously put in a place where your school doesn't think that it's safe for you to come, so they have to put metal detectors or something like that.
Also, if you have metal detectors, someone who wants to commit a mass shooting or shooting, like, they're gonna find a way around it, and they're gonna be able to, like, no matter what. I don't think, like, yes, it could prevent someone from bringing a knife to school on, like, a day, or, like, a gun in their backpack or something. But, like, if someone really wants to commit something, like, do you think the metal detector could stop them?
And then another thing you said was metal detectors are expensive. Like, not every school can afford to put in metal detectors. Like, I don't think that every small Christian school could put in metal detectors. And then I think we could, but it'd be way more expensive than we'd like it to be.
Also, I've never heard, I mean, I'm sure Coach Galloway's probably seen somebody had a weapon at school at LCA at some point, like a knife or something, but across my 11, 12 years, I've never heard or seen of anybody bringing a weapon to school. I don't think it's really a problem here.
So on that subject of weapons, arming teachers. So Mrs. Kett, now she's carrying a .357. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a lot of pros and cons to teachers being armed at the school. So the pros are, if there was to be a school shooting at our school, Ms. Kett would be very prepared to take down the intruder. And well, yeah, that's probably the biggest pro to it. There's a lot of cons and they outweigh the pros in my opinion. The cons are it could be in the student's reach, which can be dangerous depending on who the student is. Another con is that you've seen a lot is people have made the argument that if the police arrive on the scene, they'll see 2 armed suspects, and they won't know which one's the actual shooter.
And then another point off of what Grayson said was the con is if a teacher steps out and they bring someone else in, like the librarian or a sub, to watch over the class for a little bit, the student could just go up and look through the drawers, and the sub won't know what he's doing. And he could easily have access to the gun, and I wouldn't feel safe around army teachers.
Surely if we had armed teachers though, you would think they'd have like a mini safe or something. Yeah. Maybe they could have like a safe with a code or something. And then I guess that would prevent students from getting the gun, and teachers obviously only gonna get the gun if like a protocol or something like allows that, I would say. And then like there's like a code or something, like whenever there's lockdown, then there's like another procedure that could be like, it's an active shooter, like we need the teachers to get their guns out, then the teacher could go to their safe and get their gun out. But then other than that, you would never see that gun. Like hopefully it would be secured in there, and then I guess we wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah, and going off what Grayson said, I think the cons outweigh the pros. Like with the how the police officers, if they did come in, now they have way more threats rather than just the one actual shooter. Because now they're worried they have to go into each classroom. Like, are they safe? Is this person? Because then there's more armed, which causes more harm to them.
But if there's only teachers who are armed, surely the police officers will be able to distinct teacher from student. Because then they know, like, I don't think a teacher has ever committed a school shooting, so hopefully not. And then they would just be able to, they would know it's like a kid problem. Like, hopefully they wouldn't shoot the teachers that are armed. So maybe, I guess it's a concern always, but you never really know what could happen in that situation.
And you have to be willing to trust all your teachers to be able to handle a gun. So you have to go through that training. And that's just, a lot of teachers probably wouldn't want to take the program to be able to enhance a gun or be able to be armed with a gun.
Yeah, I think it'd be a long process trying to figure out how to get them armed.
So overall, I'd probably say no to that, for teachers being armed.
That's a no too.
Yeah, I'd say no for this school in particular, but I'm sure there's schools that it would really benefit from that.
Who's responsible for school safety?
I think it's I think it's the administration's job to set the rules, or even ask the students what kind of rules should we have here after setting rules, of course. And I think it's the students' job to follow those rules and to make sure they are safe, because the administration is obviously set up the rules.
Yeah, I look at it kind of like a sports team. It takes every player to actually function. So I think that's part of it. I think everybody needs to be involved in it. Everybody needs to be aware about it. So,
Everybody has their own job.
Yeah, there's probably 99.9% of kids that follow the protocol because they want to be safe too. So it's definitely on everybody at some point. So it's everybody's job.
How about the parents? Should it be their job also?
Yeah, it should. It should. It's their job to make sure the kids know the rules. Just make sure they raise them right, know the rules.
Yeah, but also the parents, like my parents, they've probably been in this school only for basketball games. They've been here probably like 30, 40, 50 times in their whole life. They don't know much about school. It's more of a student's responsibility, I'd say. We're more familiar with the school.
Do you feel like we have an environment here where the students would feel comfortable going to a teacher or an administrator if they believed there was a credible threat?
yes, for sure.
I know.
Would you feel comfortable if it was a good friend of yours who was the one who was making some kind of threat?
Yes.
So I have another question. It's a little bit off. You're talking about students' responsibility to follow the rules and help out with school safety. So that means when we walk by, we see our friend outside, we don't go open the door for them because you don't know who's around them. What part does dress code play in school safety?
Well, just an example of you see, like if someone sees someone outside the door, if you see your friend, they're completely out of dress code, you'd probably be wondering why they're not in dress code. So that probably
Really?
makes sense.
Okay, half the time I don't even notice. But my question is, you were talking about early on, people with trench coats bringing in weapons to school. You know, we roll our eyes, we get irritated with dress code around here, but is there a possibility that maybe some of the things we're wearing could contribute to security issues?
I think that it does. In some cases, like what you said about the trench coats, I think that they could hide weapons in that. And if you see them outside the door, the rule is not to let them in, or you find the administrator and they will let them in. Because you're supposed to go through the front office every time. So,
I also have an argument for that. So if you have your coat, if you take away coats, then wouldn't the student just use a backpack first if they were going to do something like that? So like then that's where the clear backpack policy comes in, which it is a thing. At some schools they have to all wear clear or mesh or something backpacks, and you see that at UK football games. You have to have a clear